Hello everybody and welcome to this online webinar where I'm going to have a look at busking within cuelists. A lot of people are using consoles that might have a limited footprint or might have a limited amount of playbacks. Using cuelists can help with this a hell of a lot because you can combine a lot of information into a few simple playbacks. If anyone has any tips that they want to share with other users as well, this is live. I'm live currently sat in London and all of you guys are logging in, so feel free to post your messages, post your ideas, and I'll try and get through and demonstrate some of them. I can see we've already got plenty of people watching, so hello to all of you. Hello to Tim, that's been waiting all this week for this one apparently. I still do quite a lot of shows where busking is the key, where you have to deal with a lot of stuff on the fly. And even if I'm working with this Titan 1 interface that's got some limited footprint in terms of amount of handles I can get to at any one point, I can use cuelists and I can combine all this information to get it just where I want, just how I want it. First thing that I quite often do is make a cuelist that's just got a whole bunch of color information. If I open up my capture visualizer, you guys will be able to see what I'm up to as well. I might even combine some looks into a particular cue within a cue list. So maybe I've got a cue list that's got some nice color looks, some nice color combinations, interesting color combinations, should we say. I can press record, and if I just want a cue list that's got channel information in it rather than controlling entire fixtures, then I can change my record mode to record by channel. Now all I've got is color instructions inside the programmer. So if I say create cue list and tap there, then I can start making myself a nice cue list. Maybe I want the next cue, all of them to be magenta, then the next cue I might want all the odd ones to be blue. That looks good. Append cue. And maybe I want a nice different color combo, and then maybe I want to grab 1 in 3 of those and make those yellow so that I've got an even more elaborate color combo. Hello to everyone else that's just joined me. I'm just making a cue list with color information in. Using these cue lists, what I can do is I can have other things going on around the console, and because I've recorded this cue list by channel, it means that I can just fire out that channel information. Say right now I'm making myself a shape generator intensity effect for these spots. Now if I fire this, I can press go and I can bump through my cue list, and that's going to deliver me all of those color combinations without me having to worry about hitting the right groups at the right point and the right palettes at the right point. Maybe I want another cue list that's got some position information in it, so I could grab those lights and tell them what to do. Tap record, still recording by channel because I just want this channel information in there. Create cue list. I'm going to make one called positions and put it just there. I've only got position information in the programmer at the moment, so append cue. I could then give them some different position information, append cue, and some different ones, append cue. Now whatever's going on with my intensities, I can quickly scroll and go to these things. Now with a limited footprint, I can already jump through all of my color combinations that I've chosen for this show and all the positions that I might need. This has already saved me a lot of time, and especially if I want the first few looks in my show to be standard color schemes, then I can put them in a cue list. Then when it gets more elaborate, I don't have to try and remember them and recall them exactly later on. I can just go to the next cue in this particular cue list. What I've seen some people do fairly recently on shows, which has looked really effective, is they have used these playbacks as manual crossfaders for things like colour. If I say playback options and select this cue list that I've just got colour information programmed into, I can say manual crossfader. Now, if I come out of that menu, what I can do is I can fade from the bottom to the top, and it's going to start going through those colour combinations. So now, rather than just three colour schemes that I've got programmed in there, I've actually got transition effects in there as well. I'll just give those like some constant intensity information so you can see what I'm up to. If I'm there, it's got that 3-part colour scheme that I programmed. If I then bring it up, it goes back to that 2-tone one. And I can use this nice and effectively. Anyone who is watching, if you've got some ways that you like using cue lists whilst busking, feel free to message me. I'm having a look at all of the posts underneath this video as well, so I'll try and demonstrate any ones that you want me to. This is a nice easy way of being able to work with all of your colour information. I'm just going to set legend and select that cue list so that I remember what it does. Using a cue list just for colour information can also come in handy when you're using things like quick record. If I want to make a cue list, I can say change my record mode and use quick build. Now if I say create a cue list, what it's going to do is it's just going to grab any information I tap in and it's going to make it a cue within this. So I can tap red, tap orange, tap green, tap magenta, and you can see on soft key B I'm up to recording cue number 5. Now when I use this and give those lights some intensity information, it's going to have grabbed those colours that I chose for me. This can make life a bit easier when you want to chuck a lot of colour information into a cue list at speed. One of the other things that can be useful with cue lists when you're busking shows is changing your key profiles, so changing what these swap and flash buttons do. If I hold down the Avolites button and on soft key G I've got edit current key profile, I'm going to make one called busking. And now I can change what all of these blue and these grey buttons do on the console. I could say cue lists, maybe I want the blue key to be a timed flash and go. This is a new function that got built into version 11 of the Titan software. Flash and go, what it's going to do is it's temporarily going to flash in all that information and it's then going to go to the next cue. So I'll leave this fader up just with my intensity information in there. I'm going to edit this current key profile. Oh, I've done that already. If I go into here, I could put a fade in time of 1.5 seconds. Now when I flash that, it's going to work, which is kind of cool and it's kind of useful. The crossfading, sorry, words, using the playbacks in crossfader mode can also be quite nice with positions. If I change this positions playback that I have to manual crossfader, then I can quite nicely build in different states or different transitions, because this is going to respond to where I move the fader. If my singer starts walking forward, I know my position 1 is like this, but my position 2 is all spread out. So I can do that. If they stop to sing a bit or they stop for a guitar solo, I can leave it there, and then at the next point I can then bring that to its next effect. I can see Edward has posted a message saying, I usually have pan and tilt cue lists with a number of different spreads and size. Ah, that's kind of cool. I like that. It's good. What I could also do is I could also put a fixed overlap on this and a fade in time as well. Just did that by selecting the top of the columns and then typing in a number. Now as I press go, rather than all of those lights moving at the same point, they're actually going to work on the fixed overlap, which if I start hitting those go buttons can be kind of cool and kind of useful. Maybe I want my color schemes that I've got in this quick builded cue list to have a fixed overlap as well. Go, 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 go. And I can have a number of different effects built up really, really quickly. One of the other key profiles that might be useful to you when you're busking within a cue list is things like stop, and you can also have things like latch. You could also change those buttons to be a previous cue and a next cue button, so you could bump forwards and backwards nice and easily and nice and quickly. I could have a go back, which immediately goes back to the previous cue. I could also have a release. Now the releases are a tricky thing to get used to, but they're very important to know about. There's two different values that you can record inside Titan. There's HTP, the highest value taking priority, which is things like intensity. Where you're working with a cue list, by default, what this fader will do is just work with HTP values, and it will carry on sending out LTP values. By default, all cue lists are recorded set up as kill with off. This means that if I bring this playback up, I say go to a different cue, I then bring that playback down, it's still firing out position information. If you want the console to let go of this position information, then there's a couple of ways you could go about it. I could press release and then I could tap this particular playback. You can see there it's just let go of the information that has been sent out of this cue list. The other way that you could do it is you could make one of these flash buttons a release button instead. Hold down Avo and say edit current key profile. I could say cue lists, and this time I want the grey key to be a release. Now when I come out of that menu, it's absolutely fine. I can bring up that playback, go to whatever position that I'd like, and now as and when I choose to hit that, it's going to release them back to their original values. This will work the same with color information as well, because that's an LTP instruction. That's where the latest instruction is taking priority. So I can choose that particular color, I can choose that particular position, I can then release that color information, and there you go. It's operating on the buttons a lot more when you're using cue lists within a busking show, but it's nice and functional, and when you get used to it, it's nice and quick as well. This can be really handy when you're building up effects information. You've then got color information in there as well. You can overlay and you can build in all of those different elements of your show, all of those different instructions that you want to give some particular light, pretty nice and quickly. The next thing that I'll have a look at is putting effects into a cue list, because I know I've had several questions about this in the past. Working with these BMFLs that I have in this particular show file again, I'm going to start building some different intensity effects. Maybe I want this to have a spread of 6. I'm going to record, create cue list, name it effects, and put it there. I can then say append cue, and still within this soft key menu I can go into soft key E, shapes and effects, shape generator. I could then edit this current effect that I have, choose it if I want, and lower the spread. Exit twice will get me back into my recording cue list menu. I could then append cue. Could then say maybe in shapes and effects, shape generator, I want to edit, and I want to delete this one. I can tap enter to confirm, then say create, dimmer, and maybe I want a 1 to 3 pulse, and I'll spread it over, let's say 14. Maybe I could change the direction as well, that might make it look more entertaining. Have that direction going from that way for a change. Tap exit a couple of times, I'm going to get back to my record menu, and I could say append cue. Now shapes by default will track inside cue lists. For normal day-to-day operation, this is really useful and pretty damn valuable as well. But maybe for this particular cue list, I don't want those shapes to track. We can change how this playback works. Playback options on soft key B, and then select this playback. What I can do is I can turn shape tracking off for this whole cue list. This means that just those effects that I've recorded in those particular cues are going to be displayed. I can then fire that. As soon as I'm ready, hit the go button. I could then maybe bump that to Q3, nice, and then add some of those color schemes in that I've got. Now I've got the flexibility of combining all these different things, and I've got at least 3 cues in each of these cue lists. But rather than using up 15 playbacks, I've only used up 3. Any questions or comments, feel free to write them down in the comment section, and I will address them very, very shortly. I'm just going to edit my key profile one more time to say, now I want this blue key to be a go back button, and this grey key to be a go button. Now I can go with that one, go back with that one, go with that one, go back with that one, go with that one, go back with that one. Hopefully this is making sense to all of you guys, and you can store any element that you want in there. Say I want a particular cue list for my busking show, which includes certain fixtures doing a couple of particular things. Could grab some fixtures and tell them exactly what I want them to do. Grab those, chuck them in that position, chuck them in a nice bright color, record, create cue list, and choose there. Now I could say append cue here. Maybe the next cue I want them to be off. Append cue. And then the next cue, maybe I want them on, but in that position. Yeah, that looks good. Append cue. I can clear all that information out of my programmer, and now I have intensity information, I have position information, and I have color information in this cue list. So as soon as I press go, it's going to do those things. Now as soon as I hit Q2, it's going to shoot all those lights from wherever they were before into there. Put myself a nice in time and a useful fixture overlap. Now I've got a nice wipe across effect. I haven't even needed to use any of the effects engines inside Titan, but I know that as soon as I hit that point, boom, all of the lights are gonna go there. Because this fader is working with HTTP information, I can even choose if I want those lights to start straight from there, or whether I want them to start from a different position. Q1, all of those lights are pointing up, so I could combine that and that, add a bit of that in there. Now as soon as I grab those lights, they're going to be in that position straight away. As soon as I press go, they're then going to wipe forward. Do let me know if this is making sense to you, if you want me to explain anything else about using cue lists within busking. Hopefully this is going to put you on a good foot to start using them in future, and hopefully not be so nervous about them using them, which I see a lot of users are, and it's entirely understandable. But there's many ways of making the console work in your favour, and using cue lists inside your busking shows is one of them. Being able to use the odd, even, all button as well is pretty handy. Working back on this colours cue list that I've got, could say odd/even, odd ones, tap that, then say even ones, tap that, and I want to record into there. By default, the soft keys will come up with what you'd like to record next. So I could say append cue now, and then grab my dimmers, turn them up, maybe grab those and say all yellow. So I know at the end of this cue list now there's going to be a nice bright blinding lighting state. With my blue and grey buttons being go and go back buttons, I can carry on avoiding that key up until the point where I want. End of the song or a particular beat. I know that even if I'm on Q1, all I have to do is go back one key, and it's now going to do that bright state. Whatever position I'm in, because my positions are being worked from this cue list just further along. I could then start getting ready with this one, bring in that as well. You can see there I've used some fairly simple building blocks. I've put them inside a queue within a cue list and worked from there. Maybe I want this to be a kill at 0. What kill at 0 is going to do is, as soon as that playback comes down, it's going to lose all of its LTP information. It's going to let go of it. So if I go to Q2 right now, you can see that that information is coming out. If I bring that playback down, it's now no longer firing out any LTP instructions. So I can bring it up, and it's always going to wait for me to press go unless I change another one of the playback options. Now I can scroll through my effects. Maybe this is my verse effect, this is my chorus effect, and this is my middle 8 effect. At any point, if I bring that down, those lights are still getting intensity information from there and from my Q6 in my colours cue list. With that effect cue list down, I can even go to the relevant cue that I want. You can see now just about that I'm in Q3, so when I bring it up, it's going to start using that effect. The key I always find, and I'm always personally in a bad habit of it, is I tend to just completely forget about naming the cues within my cue list. I'll then kind of go like this and kind of go like this, and then go, right, I didn't expect it to do that thing. So getting into the good habit of spending 2 seconds naming your cues within your cue list can help you a lot further on. I'm going to go into my effects cue list, and I'm going to start naming some of these cues that I have in here so that I can use them later on. I don't want to scroll to the right hand side and to the left hand side while I'm working with these cue lists, so I'm going to go into my context menu once again. Here we've got a button that says edit columns. Now, just to name my cue lists that I'm using for this particular busking show, I don't need to have a look at any delay ins or delay outs. Don't need to worry about the links or the moving darks or the curves. There you go. I can clearly see what shape is recorded in this key list, and I can clearly see the name. If I tap exit right now, it will get me back to my normal soft keys. If I tap record and then tap on the left hand side of this screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a filter where I can just have a look at this lot of information. I can always tap set legend and tap one of these filters and call this simple. This, I've just seen Lewis's comment, this video will definitely be posted afterwards. I'll leave it live on the Avolites Facebook page along with all the other ones that I've done over the past couple of months, so that you can have a look and have a play with them afterwards. Now I can click into this queue and I can say spread. Maybe I want to call this next queue simple spread, and Q3 I'm going to call right to left. Now these names are going to appear within my playback, so that when I bring them down I can choose that I want that right to left effect, and when the moment's right I can bring that in and it's going to start working for me. Then chuck a different position in there. See, already in a bad habit, I've forgotten what that cue list does. It's the beams. Yes, right. Okay. Set legend and select that playback. Beams. Beams. Wave. If anyone's got any comments or questions, let me know. If you're all happy with this and I've given you all some food for thought, then give yourself plenty of opportunity to play with this and get used to it. If you have any other brief questions about Titan, then feel free to post them now and I will try and answer a few general inquiries afterwards. Is there a way to pre-select a cue while playing from the cue list other than press go? Totally. What I've got on these cue lists is I've got go buttons on each of the grey keys. So I can see that I'm now on the cue called right to left, but it's not firing that effects information out of my console up until I bring that playback up. The other way that you can do this is, especially for those of you who like syntax or work quite a lot with your hand close to the numeric keypad. At the moment I am connected to my cue list called effects. If I say Q1 enter, now I'm already connected the right hand side of my console to this particular cue list. So now I've told it to go to Q1 enter, and as soon as I press go it's going to go straight to Q1. I could then say connect this one and say Q2 enter, and then when the moment hits me I can say go. The other thing that you can do with these buttons is you can make them a connect button as well if you want. Maybe I'm happy with my go backs and I want to change what those go buttons do. Hold down the Avo button and say edit current key profile, cue list. Maybe I want the grey key to be a connect button. Now at any point I can say connect Q1 enter go, and that's going to connect to that particular cue list for me. Different ways of combining different looks can really help a lot when you're restricted in your total handle count. Timed flash and go are only available in version 11 upwards. So if you are working on a previous software version and you want to make use of this, you will need to upgrade. Any other questions? Do let me know. Otherwise, I shall finish off this webinar today and I will start planning the next one. Anyone got any normal uses of busking with cuelists that I haven't demonstrated so far? Feel free to comment on this video as well afterwards. There'll be plenty of people watching it later on, I'm sure, and I will keep an eye on it for the next couple of hours as well, in case any questions get asked which I haven't explained already. You can see it's nice, it's quick to be able to choose my different looks and my different steps. You can do those effects cue lists. You could have one that's just got position effects. You could have one that just has intensity effects. You could have one that just has color effects. You could then change what those playbacks do and decide maybe you want this one to be at kill at 0. So maybe you want it to let go of information as soon as I bring it down again. Now you can see it's not in any cue whatsoever. It's not firing out any LTP information. Press go a couple of times so that I'm in the cue that I want, and then bring that playback up. When the moment strikes me, I can get it. Hello Cade, I can see you on there. Yes, Edwards posted a question saying, can cue lists be recorded into the playback window? Yeah. If I open workspace window and find my playbacks window, I could even move this one onto there. Now your playbacks window is deemed as a touch key in your key profiles. So I could go into my editing my current key profile and I could say with cue lists I want the touch key to be a go back button. Now anytime I hit that, it's going to go back to the previous cue for me. So you can fill up lots of space on your playbacks workspace window as well. That's a good question, I like that question. You can also see that in the playbacks window it will show you what particular cue you're in as well. There's a couple of shows that I do quite regularly. I'm never entirely sure of what desk layout I want up until the moment I hit behind the desk during the show. So I could move all of these into this particular window and I could decide on what order I want them in later on. Glad to see plenty of you watching. Hopefully I've given you guys enough food for thought to play and work with these. If you get used to them, they can be a valuable asset, and being able to have an entire stack of color looks just saved on your console can save lots of last minute messing around or changing and not being able to decide quickly enough what color scheme you want to go to next. Using the Titan simulator and working with them beforehand, I can spend plenty of time and go, okay, maybe I want a cue list where all of my lights go red, then all of my lights go red and yellow, then all of my lights go green, then all of my lights go green and blue. Putting this into a cue list is 9 times out of 10 how I work with busking shows nowadays. Any last questions before I sign off? I know I keep saying that, but I'm quite up for answering any questions that you guys have got while I'm live here. Thanks, going to test this immediately. Great. Yes. Cool. We're getting lots of good feedback. So I shall leave you guys to it. This video will stay up. There's another set of Titan tutorial videos that will be going up in the next couple of months as well. So don't forget to check out the Avolites Academy playlist on the Avolites YouTube channel, because there'll be plenty of more nice short little snippet videos just explaining one function clearly and easily. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you tune into the next one.